Hey, I'm Ricky Armelino, and I'm the guy who yells at everybody when This or the Apocalypse plays.
You released Dead Years last year. Can you tell me about the process of recording it?
Oh yeah, it was the worst ever. I never, ever want to go back to that period of my life ever again. And no, it was the process of recording. We spent a very long time working on those songs, and we had a big member change, and amicably, it was a friendly thing, but in the process there was lots of material that was written, and I became kind of the organizer of the material, not the generator. Everybody in the band would generate ideas, but we moved over to a new system of writing, which at the time really, it felt like it worked really well. And once we got to the studio, we ran into a couple issues. The label we were on wasn't going to be able to release the record, and we decided that we wanted to find somebody else, so we lost all of our funding, and we said we're still going to go do this.
Yeah.
So we ended up spending a lot of our own money, and in the process we had nowhere to sleep. We slept in the studio, which looked like this, like concrete floors, and we just brought stuff to lay down and lay on it. No shower. Our bus on the third night in, or our vehicle that we're driving, it's kind of like a handicap bus type thing. It was the cheapest thing we could find. Somebody cut out the muffler underneath, or like our exhaust system, because they thought it might have a catalytic converter to sell, but it didn't. And so we couldn't drive that around for a while. We couldn't take showers. We couldn't go anywhere. Sometimes Andreas, who recorded us, would let us go to his house, but he got handed divorce papers in the middle of the recording. So the recording, where we thought it was going to be 3.5 weeks, it turned into a month and a half. And when we left the studio, we said to ourselves, man, this record's going to suck. And it took 2 months to mix, and somehow when we got the mix, we said, man, this record is awesome.
Yeah.
I lost my voice during the process. I had a surgery down here, very painful. So for a month it took me out, and whenever I would use my diaphragm to scream, pain everywhere. And I was very unhappy with my vocals on the record. So when we got the mixes back, I still wasn't happy with my voice, and I said, Andreas, I'll bring you whiskey. Can I please come back down for a weekend and redo some of the vocals? And he said, yeah, I'd love to have you. He's a very dear friend of mine now. He's actually, he is a Swedish citizen. He thought he was going to get deported when he got divorced. So that's a lot of the stress was, oh my God, I might lose my home. I might lose everything. And his Swedish isn't good enough to, make a true living out here. He said it was basically like an 11-year-old's, so he would have been set back very far. So we were really scared for him, because he's an amazing person. But we had a producer, Kevin Langford, very talented. He was awesome, and I took 2 of my best friends, Saul, our artist, and this guy Dandon, just a very dear friend of ours, and we drove down to Richmond, Virginia together, and in 2 days I redid almost all the vocals, where originally it took me a week and a half.
Yeah.
And we did them as fast as we could, and now I love it. I'm very happy with it now. So that's the long story.
Yeah.
Would you like the short one?
It's okay.
Okay.
What have been your biggest inspirations through all the years?
Books. I read a lot. I don't listen to tons of heavy music. I find things I really like. I'd say the one band that resonated to me the most and made me want to pursue heavy music was Every Time I Die. But I always liked bands like The Hope Conspiracy and Snapcase and Refused and At the Drive-In. I was never a big metal fan. I was very much into the social hardcore. I was never into tough hardcore. I was into, I always gravitated towards bands that found a way to make heavy music without the masculine energy, the "this is the way that a man does it," type thing, or the operatic.
Yeah.
I am the blah blah blah. Or, I cared so much about lyrics, and honestly, there aren't many heavy bands that care about their lyrics. I know that from the work that I do at home. I produce bands, and a lot of people just think they're just words that you add onto songs.
Yeah.
For me, lyrics. That's all I care about. Is whether a song makes me feel something. So. Those were bands that truly inspired me. I know we love Meshuggah. We love. There are many bands we agree on. We love Darkest Hour. We love Defeater, and we listen to a lot of not metal like M83 and the Appleseed Cast and Mogwai and Caspian, and I listen to a lot of rap because I love Ghostface Killah and the rest of Wu-Tang, and LP is he's my biggest inspiration for wanting to be a producer.
Yeah.
But even vocally, I find myself very often doing things that I feel like LP or Zach De La Rocca from Rage Against the Machine would have done, and those are the things that made me want to be in a heavy band.
Yeah. Do you write all the lyrics for
Yes.
the band? Or? Yeah. How did this early apocalypse came to the sound that you're having today?
It's funny because if you would listen to our original material, we made an EP ourselves, pressed it, and then we made a full length ourselves and pressed it. And you can find them online sometimes, but they very much more sounded very rock. We were very inspired by Black Sabbath, Every Time I Die, Thin Lizzy, Dead Guy, Scarlet was another band that we were very inspired by at the time, and those don't sound like what we do now. It just kind of, we just let the project go in its own direction. I think a lot of bands, I know from personal experience, a lot of bands are very, very calculated about what they do. Like, well, we need a breakdown like this because that's what, like, the kids that listen to Ghost Inside like, and, we try to add in some singing parts like this, but then kids really like gang vocal singing parts, so it's a game, and to us, it's not a game. To us, we want music that makes us feel something, and, the next record is going to sound completely different, and some people think that's a bad thing. A lot of European people, when we released Dead Years, we got messages like, "Shame on you for abandoning the sound that you create." We didn't create that sound. Home What's Left sounds like thousands of other metal bands. Like, we are just let a band do their thing. So, we are very much not. We're not businessmen.
No.
Like, we're just best friends, and we just write whatever. So whatever the next record comes out to be, that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sing much more. I don't know. I just wherever I'm at emotionally at that time, I want to communicate that into an idea, and I want to express it on stage. So I can say that we came into the Dead Years sound because we actually started asking ourselves, what's going to be fun to play live? Because, to be honest, Monuments and Haunt What's Left were not fun to play live. We found a way to make them fun, but for the most part, especially American audiences, didn't understand it at all. Be like, well, why don't you have any breakdowns? Like, because we don't give a shit. But, at the same time with Dead Years, we're like, my guitarists were like, I don't want to have to do this the whole entire show. It just, I can't move around, I can't have fun. I want to be able to yell with you and jump in the audience, and so we considered those things, and whatever.
Yeah. What was the hardest part to start a band?
The hardest part to start a band is the financial aspect. There's a very sad thing that's happening in our country, and this is of no detriment to anybody because we've been helped very much, but we worked, Rodney is a very successful carpenter, and he gave up all that to be in this band. I had a decent job. All of us had really good jobs, and we saved and saved and saved and saved and saved. The financial aspect is what makes a band impossible for most people. So what happens in America is many of the bands you see on tour come from places of privilege, very much. And it infiltrates everything about being in a band. Because when you're a local band and you say, I'm sick of having bad artwork, I'm sick of having bad recordings, the rest of your band is gonna say, dude, I make $8 an hour. I don't have time for that shit, man. We gotta just put something out there, and if somebody can help us out, then yeah. And I understand that so much. Like, money, like, it costs money to make a good recording, and nobody takes bands seriously unless they have a recording that sounds just as good as everybody else. Otherwise, you're a local act, and you sell tickets to play shows. Yeah. If you don't have good artwork, well, that's another couple $1,000s. Good CD, couple $1,000. Good artwork, couple $1,000. If you want to make that stuff yourself, you need a good laptop. You need good programs to do it. Couple $1,000. Making a band is a very big investment, and some people simply can't. And that is really at the heart of the issue about being a musician. And the honest truth is, you know, I think downloading is okay, but kids do not buy music. They think it's their property now. And that is the new view, is your music is my property because everyone else thinks it's my property. So people expect bands, it's a little unrealistic. People expect bands, like, why don't you come to Australia? Because it's going to cost me $8,000, and that's more than I'm going to make this year. Like, working 3 jobs and touring. That's more than I'll make. And people be like, well, come to Australia. Like, our CD sales in Australia, like, a lot of people listen to us, but we're able to see how many CDs we've sold. It's a very low amount. So, you know, people don't understand when they ask a band to come to their area, they're asking them to spend thousands of dollars. And it's like, oh, I'll buy a shirt. It's like, well, we pay to print that shirt. And what we make off of it is basically half of what you spend. So be like, well, I gave you $15. It's like, you gave me $7 because I had to spend money. And now kids want nicer fabric shirts, more money. We have to pay for our records that we sell at shows. Like, why didn't you bring the old CD? Because I have to pay for that CD, and once you buy it, I make maybe $3 or $4. It's just constant debt. Another thing is, you just got to be, if you're not willing to spend a couple hours working on your craft, your instrument, you don't belong on stage. Let somebody else who truly gives a shit be on stage. And that's a difficult part too. You have a lot of people that want to be on stage, but they don't have any reason. It's you need to be somebody that actually has a reason to be on stage, you know?
And back in the days, how did you come in contact with Chris Adler?
He just showed up to a show. I had no idea who he was. He was standing up front. There were maybe 11 people. We opened very early in the day, and he came up and he shook my hand. He said, "Hi, I'm Chris." I was like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And we're talking for a little bit. He never mentioned Lamb of God, and somebody came up and asked for his autograph, and I didn't ask who he was. And then somebody from this one band we had toured with comes up, and he pulls me aside. He's like, "You're talking to Chris Adler." And I said, "Who is that?" And he was like, "The drummer of Lamb of God." And I remember thinking, oh, that's funny. He's probably just drunk and was like, oh, cool, man. But he actually was a big fan of ours, because then I was talking to him later. He's like, oh, yeah, I own Monuments. I love that album, and I want to work with you guys. And then it was sort of like, why do you want to work with us? He was like, well, you know I'm in Lamb of God, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, so... And he was kind of, you know, he told me later on, he was like, I felt like I could be a friend of you, because right off the bat, you didn't give a shit about, because like at one point he was just like, oh man, some people react a lot. I was like, honestly, I like your band a lot, but I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not a kid, you know, you're a peer of mine, you know. I think it's so disrespectful to walk up to somebody and, oh my god, you're like, oh, like, I hate when people do that to me. I want them to treat me like a normal person. I want to be able to talk to them. And I don't want to be put up here, and I don't want to be put down here. I want to be like that with people. I met one of my heroes, well, several of them. We played in Belgium with Every Time I Die, Circus Survive. Thursday, the original lineup of Further Seems Forever, which is, you know, and I stood side stage singing those songs drunk with Anthony Green of Circus Survive. And I had to talk, I sat down and ate dinner with Further Seems Forever. And those, I used to listened to their album on repeat after my girlfriend broke up with me, and just like this album is everything to me, and I can't bring myself to be like, oh my God, I'm not worthy. Hello, like I just wanted to. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Cool. We're friends now. That's awesome. Like I wasn't sure what I was gonna say to Keith Buckley, and I think all I said to him, like we were sitting there for a while. I was like, hey, I've ripped off like everything you've done, so thanks. And he was like, you're welcome. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, just want to let you know I use a lot of your ideas. I've done it since I was like 15.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I speak too much.
Yeah.
Should I cut it down?
No, it's
All right.
okay, I think. Yeah.
I have a problem.
No. What's the worst thing that ever have happened to you on stage?
There are so many stories. I mean, one thing that comes to mind was when we were on our first very big tour. We were on our first very, very big tour with August Burns Red, and we got in front of an audience that was not, they did not give a shit about us. And the first thing that happens is I go up on stage, I like throw the mic up, and the monitor falls forward, and I just, all the way down, I just hit my head, and I'm dizzy, and I get up, I keep doing vocals. Say at our video shoot, I got for Hellpraiser, I got knocked unconscious, and the funny story is, and she's still my girlfriend, but I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and I never say love or anything like that. I was like, I hit my head, I was unconscious for a little bit. Like the band thought I was just trying to look intense because I was rolling around on the stage, just like. And at one point, like, they actually realized, they're like, oh my God. So what happened was I stage dived, I was coming back, and my head was right over a metal barricade. Somebody landed directly on me stage diving, and my head just met the barricade, and I just went out, and then people were still crowd surfing me back, and they thought I was just doing this, like, I'm being rock and roll, and I got back up, and there's a voice in my head, like, Ricky, this is your video shoot. And I'm like, oh my God, because we filmed the song 6 times.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the phone, and I was just like, hey, I can't talk. Head very weird. I'm a lot of pain. Love you. Whoops, I didn't say that. I'm gonna go. And she texted me, and she was just like, that would be the way you would say that, like you're delusional. And I probably should have went to the hospital, but we had to play another set afterwards. So that was pretty bad. I've puked many times. I don't know. There's been a lot of bad things. Like I play 200 shows a year usually, so they can't always be all good things. I've gotten in a lot of verbal confrontations with people. You know, if somebody heckles me, like, yeah, you blah, 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 blah. Don't heckle me. I will make you regret it. Like, I've gone back and forth with people, and I've been told by so many people, like, you're going to say that to the wrong person, and they're gonna fuck you up. And it's like, well, it still hasn't happened. And whenever somebody says that, like, look, man, I'm just gonna let you know. I'm just trying to let you know. You're gonna say something to the wrong person, and it's gonna be real bad. They're gonna fuck you up, man. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you don't have the courage.
When do you think we will hear new material from your band?
Very soon.
How soon?
We just recorded a single. We don't know when we're gonna release it. We're planning on just putting it up on our YouTube page or something, but it's recorded. We're still waiting on the final mix. It's a cool song.
Yeah.
It's different, but we are planning on finishing our record. Our next record, we're hoping at the end of summer, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It's not up to us.
Yeah, that was all.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.